Hey there, Scott the Pie Guy. Definitely not a baker, just somebody out there making pies. Today, we're tackling lemon meringue. Okay, I'll be honest. This one to me was daunting. Uh, did a lot of research, but won't say I was necessarily encouraged when the first site I went to, thanks Ina, said meringues can be hard to master. Site number two, my go-to, Sally's Baking Addiction, told me, don't worry, you're a baker, you got this. Problem is I'm not. So anyways, I did a lot of research, talked to friends, but in the end, I decided to go back to a trusted old friend, the first cookbook I ever used, Better Homes. Okay, like I said, I went out to all kinds of sources and got tips. One tip I did pick up is the first thing we should do is separate the eggs. Apparently, it's better to separate eggs cold and then use room temperature. Whoops, I'll be right back. Forgot another bowl. Okay, we're back. Got the second bowl. Very key point. But apparently it's better to separate the eggs while the eggs are cold and while the eggs are cold and then use them at room temperature. So we have 3 eggs. Use them for the meringue at room temperature. 3 eggs, getting them separated here. There we go. Another tip that I picked up is make sure there is no yolk whatsoever in the whites. So we got those. Looks like no yolk. On to step 2. Pie crust is rolled out. I went with the standard all butter crust that I've been using for a lot of pies. I really like it, and that's what we're going to go with. Put it in the pie pan, 9-inch pie pan, and now what we have to do is we have to build up the outside of the pie crust, because the meringue, one tip I've picked up, is the meringue is kind of used as a seal, so it needs to come all the way to the edges. But that's going to require that we have a taller edge, I think, than the pie pan. So what I'm doing is I'm just kind of rolling up this extra. You can see it's kind of long from what I would normally do. Usually I like to trim it around and do something, but I'm kind of just rolling it all up onto the top of the pan. And hopefully that will be enough of a build up. Okay, we're all rolled up. Now we just got to make it a little bit pretty. And trying to remember how to do this. We're just going to pinch down, do this end, kind of with fingers and try to make it, I don't know that that's the best way I want to do that. Let me try something else. Let me try it like this. 2 fingers and push in. I kind of like that better. So now we'll go around the entire pan. You went on the side here. Just got those. We're just kind of pinching it in between the fingers. Probably won't be the prettiest looking one, but we'll just do it that way. Okay. I don't think it looks too bad. Next, we're just going to sit this in the refrigerator for 30 minutes and start getting ingredients for the filling. Getting ready to put the pie together. From one of the things I've learned, it looks like you have to be fairly ready for this. So I even have the stuff for the meringue set over on the side. We'll talk about that in a second. But we got some sugar for the filling, cornstarch. This is 1.5 cups of sugar. I actually went a little bit shy, so it's somewhere shy of 1.5 cups. 3 tablespoons tablespoons of cornstarch and flour, a couple tablespoons of butter, my 3 egg yolks that we did earlier, a cup and a half of water. We need the lemon though. That's all great, but we need the lemon. I don't have a zester, so I just grated some and now I'm gonna chop it up. Okay, we got it chopped up. Hopefully it's fine enough. It calls for fine. Hopefully it's fine enough and it's not just because I'm impatient. So next thing we need to do, I'm gonna set this aside here. Done with that. Next thing we need to do is get the lemon juice. I need 1/3 of a cup, so I'm gonna squeeze some fresh. I did Meyer lemons, just because. So we'll get about 1/3 of a cup of lemon juice. Look at that. I went ahead and pre-cut 2 lemons and I got 1/3 of a cup. I'm on it. So now we're going to take all this, we're going to move over to the stove, start combining it to make the lemon filling, and then follow it right up with the meringue. We're at the stove, have the flour, cornstarch, sugar, and a dash of salt in the pan ready to go. What the recipe calls for is combining it with the 1.5 cups of water slowly and then getting the heat on. So we're just going to try and do that. Trying to go slow and stir at the same time. Set that aside. So now that we got this all mixed up, we're going to turn it to medium-high heat and cook it till it starts to bubble. We got the ingredients all set out for the filling, but before we can put the filling in the oven or in the pie shell, we need to put the pie crust in. I'm going to partially bake this, and I learned that's coming from that's where par bake comes from. Also, you do this to when the filling takes shorter time than the pie crust. You do this. So we got it. We're going to line it with parchment paper and put some pie weights in. Push this down a little bit. We got the oven at 375. Whoa! Trying to get away from me. Little pie weights to help keep some bubbling down. And then we're going to throw this in the oven for about 8 minutes. Okay, so I made a mistake when I said 8 minutes. It's actually 15 minutes first with the pie weights. At the 375. So now we're going to pull the pie weights out. And unfortunately it doesn't look like I did a good job weighting some of the corners down because it's puffed up, but that's okay. Now we pierce it a little bit. I'm not, just let some of the air out, I guess, with a fork. And then we put it back in for 8 minutes. That's where the 8 minutes came from. So we'll get this back in, bottom rack of the oven, and we wait about 8 minutes. There's how it looks. A little puffy in the inside. Let's see what that does. So we'll leave this cool while we make the filling. Okay, it's starting to bubble a little bit, and it does seem to be getting thick. We'll let it go a little bit more, and then we turn down the temp and cook it and stir for 2 minutes more. But you can kind of see some bubbles are starting to come up in there. So we'll turn this down, I guess about halfway from where I was. I'll set the timer for 2 minutes. There's my 2 minutes. So now I'm going to remove it from the heat. And the recipe calls for about a cup of this mixture, but I'm going to take a little bit more. I'm going to take about 3/4 of the cup, and we're going to add this slowly to the beaten eggs, and that'll temper the yolk so we don't have scrambled eggs in the pie instead. So I'm going to just stir and drizzle a little bit in. Okay, there's that. a little bit more. Put this back on the heat, and now we're going to slowly add the yolks into the mixture. Turn this up a little bit, back to medium-high, bring it to a slight boil, and then we reduce it and cook it a couple minutes more. You can kind of see it's starting to pick up that yellow color you're wanting to see in a lemon pie. Okay, we got a gentle boil going on, so now we're going to reduce it back down. 2 minutes again. Okay, we got it. It's nice and pretty thick. Got it off the heat. Stir in the butter. Get it melted. I'm going to add the lemon peel. Get it stirred around in there. And now, last, the lemon juice. Then stir it in slowly, get it all incorporated in. Okay, there's our result. It's kind of thick. It'll thicken up as it sits a little bit. But we're just going to leave this sit and move on to the meringue. As if the earlier parts weren't stressful enough, now comes the real trepidation, this meringue. Looked at a lot of recipes. Again, I'm using the Better Homes recipe. I got it right here, ready and handy for me. And one thing I did see that is common amongst every recipe I saw was the egg whites and the sugar. A lot of people said it's 3 ingredients: egg whites, sugar, and air. And I'm using cream of tartar like the recipe says. That was about 2/3 of the recipes. And then about half of them had vanilla, and that's what this recipe is. So we're going to add the 3 egg whites. Large mixing bowl, 3 egg whites, vanilla. Again, this is 2 teaspoons, or a teaspoon, no, I can't remember, half a teaspoon. And a 1/4 teaspoon of the cream of tartar. We save the sugar for last, and then we pop this thing down, lock it in, and we are going to beat this on medium. Medium speed for about 1 minute. So we're going to turn it up to 4 is what we have it. And we started our minute timer. Okay, my 1 minute is up, but I don't see anything resembling peaks showing up, so we're going to keep it going for a little while longer. It's supposed to have soft peaks, which means the very tip of it goes over. And this is one thing that somebody told me, and key to meringue, patience. I'm going to be tested on this one. See if there's any difference. Oh yeah, I can see it in here. That peak is standing up and it's just curling over. I don't think I can show you, but we're going to try. If you look at that, yeah, it's sliding down the bowl. I don't know if you can see that peak or not, but it's just kind of curling over. So I think we hit it. Oops, wrong way. Okay, next step. We're going to add the sugar a tablespoon at a time, beating on high. That's what it says. Beat on high speed about 4 minutes, 1 tablespoon at a time. So we're going to turn it up to 8. It's as high as I want to go. Kind of dropping it in a little bit. Not all at once. Let it get beat in there a little bit. Let that run for a little bit. And now we are looking for stiff, glossy peaks. This time when I lift it up, the peak is supposed to stay like that instead of drooping over a little bit. And it definitely is white. Oops, unlock it. It definitely is stiff because it's clinging to the beater. So I'm going to say that is pretty good where we want it to be. Okay, so now I'm going to get this cleaned out, bring it over, and we're going to fill the pie. Okay, now we're ready. We have the pie crust, par baked, so it's partially baked. The filling, it's going to make it up, and then we're going to take this nice meringue, maybe that's a little too stiff, I don't know, and seal it all up. So first thing we do, I'm going to stir this up one last time. I'm just going to pour it in. Thought about spooning it in, but I think I'm just going to pour it in. So there's what we have. It still feels a little bit warm. What I did read in the recipes is making sure that this is warm. It'll help seal the meringue to the filling. So that's what we're kind of shooting for. This I am going to spoon. I think I left my knife here. I'm just going to try to get this spread out a little bit. Once I get it sealed, I'm going to come back and kind of make some peaks and valleys and to give it a little bit character on the top. Some spots that's brown, some spots that are not brown. But we want to push it all the way to the edge from what I gathered. And you know what? I'm going to call that good. So there's what we have. Getting ready to throw it in the oven. Okay, we're almost there. Getting ready. I've been checking about every 30 seconds as it gets closer, because that's one thing I also learned. Keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on it. And there it is. Looks like it's well set up, I'm going to guess. So now we just leave it cool for an hour, and then it chills for 3 to 6 hours. But that's it. We'll come back and slice it and see how we actually did. And now the test. Had the meringue shrunk a little bit. I have no idea what causes that, but that's what happened. So now we'll cut into this. Yeah, I don't know. The meringue seems to have totally given way. Maybe that's why you put big heaping piles on there. Okay. I'm not positive on this one. It actually held better than I thought it would. It's got a little bit of juice running out of there. I don't know what that is, but it actually didn't hold together too awful. Got my fork. We're ready to dive in, give it a taste. The meringue is interesting. I'll put it that way. Filling, I don't know what happened on that, but I don't think that worked. Flavor's good, and it actually did not hold up too bad. It's going to get really soggy as it sits for a little bit, but not bad. So thanks for watching, and hope you join us again.